Anime movies are amazing. From the creative works of Studio Ghibli to the breathtaking scenes of Your Name, animated movies to me have always had a special place in my heart. So when Eve, one of my favorite singers, released the official theme song to Josee the Tiger and the Fish, I was excited as hell. Now I know it's no bueno to set unrealistic expectations for a movie, but I mean, come on, just watching the music video sent shivers down my spine. So I waited and waited and waited for the movie to come out, and almost a year later I got to watch it. And oh boy, were my expectations met. On a quick side note, does anyone else listen to a movie's soundtrack before watching the movie, or is that just me? Like during Weathering With You, I listened to all the songs and soundtrack released before watching the movie, so when the climactic scene happened and the soundtrack came in, I was like, oh shit, it's happening. No, but really, if you don't do this, I would definitely suggest you to try it out next time. It really makes the movie pop. Anyways, Josee the Tiger and the Fish. Animated movies tend to have a bigger budget than seasonal shows. If we take a look at the estimated cost of Ghibli movies, it took around $19 million to produce Spirited Away and $20 million to produce Mononoke Hime. Compared to the typical $100,000 to $300,000 range it takes to create an episode of anime, movies can be damn expensive. So it's no surprise that anime movies typically outshine seasonal shows in every department. From the soundtrack to the animation to the talent on board, everything needs to be perfect. Josee the Tiger and the Fish is no exception to this. Adapted based on a novel written by Seko Tanabe, when I saw the cover art for this movie, I knew it was going to be a banger. A romantic drama between a hardworking guy and a girl with a disability? That sounds like the perfect recipe for an emotionally captivating story. Now, I'm not someone who's read the original novel or seen the live action adaptation, so this is purely my take as someone who's only seen the anime. But my initial thought while watching the movie is how realistic it was. You know, the cliche trope that the main character needs to sacrifice everything in order to be together with their lover, when in reality, that's a very stupid thing to do. So it was quite a breath of fresh air seeing characters act quote-unquote normal in a romance anime. Josee is a character who has to live with a disability, preventing her from ever walking. She's someone who's afraid of taking the first step back into reality, and thus hides herself inside a room. I know this might sound like a typical terminal romance show, but trust me, it's not. Contrary to Josee, Tsuneo is a character who has a dream. Being the hardworking person he is, Tsuneo takes up multiple jobs in order to fulfill his dreams of studying abroad. As someone who faces reality head-on and explores the world around him, the two characters are contrasted as polar opposites. Reminds you of a certain movie? Opposites attract, and as the two meet, they start to become more and more like each other. Now you may be wondering, Hyacinth, what makes a romance good? Well, I'm glad you asked, since to me, romance is like a bowl of pasta. Hold up, what is this guy smoking? Okay, hear me out for a sec. Say you want to find some good anime to watch, so you go search on Mal to find something you like. You want some action? Cool, here's an action anime. You want some comedy? Here's a comedy anime. You want some romance? Well, there isn't actually any pure romance anime, only mixes like rom-coms and drama romance. Romance is like the noodles and drama is the sauce. If you just have noodles with no sauce, it tastes horrible, no character development and no comedic value. But when you add in that sweet sauce, oh boy are we cooking up a good show. This is because romance itself can't stand on its own. It needs to be supported by something else. Your Lie April, Clannad, and Your Name, just to name a few, are examples that have a romantic plot which is brought to life by dramatic development. It's why I don't really like it when shows just add in romance for the sake of adding romance. I mean, if I'm in the mood to turn off my brain and just watch some content, then yeah, I'll probably enjoy it. A lot. Just look at my list. So much trash content. Man, this tangent went on pretty long, but to summarize it all, romance needs another pair to function. Whether it be through drama or comedy, with romance, the story becomes the characters. If the characters are boring, then the story sucks. So when I look at Josee the Tiger and the Fish and think to myself that the strongest part of this movie lies within its characters, you're probably in for a treat. I think the movie can be summarized pretty well with this one line. Often, anime is used as a means of escapism for most people. Isekais and power fantasies are ones that mainly come to mind. If we stay in one spot, there's no way we'll ever be hurt. So taking that first step outside of your comfort zone can be scary, especially if you're someone who has a disability. Josee is someone who has trouble looking at the world around her. This is in part due to the fact that she is unable to leave her house. Her grandmother and only living family is scared to take her outside. How can a fish live in a world with tigers? The grandmother isn't strong enough to support Josee by herself, while Josee isn't strong enough to live on her own. So by wanting the best for Josee, she forces her to stay inside. While I don't particularly agree with this decision, you can definitely see where she's coming from. But that all changes when she hires Suneo as an assistant to take care of Josee. Yeah, I know, you could probably call this type of plot cliche as hell, but while most stories would probably do something like, as the two interact, they begin to fall for each other and live happily ever after. This movie's approach is much more character-centric. What makes the story stand out compared to others is the relationship between Josee and Suneo. In the movie, Suneo is seen as a gateway for Josee to experience the real world. Through their interactions, Josee begins to see the world around her, and that's the important part. Even the little interactions, such as seeing the beach, going to an aquarium, or even eating ice cream for the first time, is viewed as a big event. Nowadays, we take many things for granted. At the press of a button, we can watch the latest movie on Netflix, or order some food, and so it becomes really hard to imagine the thought of someone who doesn't even know what a beach looks like. For Josee, all she wishes for is to go outside and taste the salt water. But for us, we can do that anytime. I'm not saying that it's anyone's fault for taking technology for granted, because I'm fucking grateful that everything has become so efficient nowadays. But what really made this movie turn from good to great was the beach scene. Minor spoilers. You see, dreams don't always fit with reality. When Josee first caught sight of the beach and tasted the salt water, it was an amazing experience. She was finally able to fulfill her own dream. The view was bright, everything was shining, and it felt like nothing could go wrong. But later on in the movie, when Josee visited the beach again, this time the view was dark. The beach looked depressing, everything was muddy, and it felt like nothing could go right. To face reality head on means that you have to acknowledge the flaws. Josee lives with a disability, meaning that she has to carry a lot more burden than a normal person. Whether it means getting extra help to board a train or needing someone to push you around, while there are tigers who only see these people as a pain in the ass, there are also outgoing people in the world. The beach isn't always shining, nor is it always dark. It's a mix of both. That's what makes Josee and Suneo's relationship stick. Without each other, both of them wouldn't have someone they could rely on. Stepping outside can be frightening, but when doing it with someone else that you trust, that fear diminishes. As the story progresses, Josee learns from Suneo and vice versa. The two characters become more and more like each other, and thus they connect on a deeper level. While they might not know the nitty-gritty details like the other's favorite food, they both fall for each other's character. There's hardly any filler in this movie, it's just scene after scene, building onto the next. Suneo is a realistic guy. Unlike regular romances, he's not willing to sacrifice his dream in order to be with the girl he loves. To him, everything he's worked for is all for his dream. Josee acknowledges this and supports him. And so, their character dynamics is what allows for these little scenes to work so well. And to be honest, there were many times in the movie where the waterworks started flowing. But no movie is without its criticism, and if I were to point out one minor problem, it would be that the ending felt a bit cliche. I'm not gonna spoil what happens at the end, but even though there's bound to be people who hate it, the way the entire movie was told makes up for it. The animation was pretty good, and some scenes look really nice. I'd say Studio Bones did a really good job with the adaptation, though it's definitely not as eye-catching as Shinkai's Your Name and Garden of Words. But who am I kidding? There's barely any anime that could compete with the art of Your Name. It's a pretty high standard. Remember back at the start of the video when I said to listen to a movie soundtrack before watching it? Well, I know Waltz and Shinkai was an absolute banger. If you don't know who Eve is, he was the guy who did JJK's first opening among other stuff, so I was really glad to see him in this movie. Josee, the Tiger and the Fish to me was probably the best movie to come out of 2021 so far, and I'd say it was definitely worth the wait. While the ending isn't as bittersweet as other romances out there, I do think that the movie can appeal to a wide audience. Reality can be harsh, but also amazing, and I think the movie does an excellent job of portraying the ups and downs of life. Even though Josee has to live with a disability, just having someone that you can rely on and talk to makes a world of difference. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. If any of you are wondering when the seinen video will come out, I promise it'll be soon. I was kind of feeling a bit demotivated this week, which is why there were less edits on this video, but hopefully it'll get better. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe. These videos take a very long time to make, which is why I only post like every 2 weeks. Telling your friends and other people about this channel is the best way to help me grow. That's all for this video. This has been Hyacinth. Peace.